Hi, this is Kirk, the bariatric carnivore. Well, this kind of sucks for doctors in the medical system, but it's wonderful news for me. In 2011, I ran across a blog which talked about the rise of the angry patient. It was in Psychiatry Today, and it was about patients who were showing up with printouts of, articles that they had read on their particular medical condition, and they wanted to talk to their doctor about it. Instead of the doctor just going over their list of symptoms, giving them a prescription, and sending them on their way. And that was kind of the beginning of that trend. It's been going on for over 15 years, and it's only increasing. More and more doctors are complaining about the fact that patients are showing up after doing their own research and want to get to the root cause of what is causing their particular chronic disease and ailment and why their health is so bad. And doctors are kind of at a loss. And the reason why this system that I keep calling a psychopathic system is not looking after your health is because that's not what it's designed for. Keep in mind that most doctors, 90% of them, do not work for themselves. They work for bosses. And those bosses are probably large hospital chains, but the biggest employer of doctors is actually CVS Pharmacy. They actually own the biggest hunk of doctors. And next is United Health, an insurance company. And the next major one are private equity firms. And private equity firms means that your healthcare decisions are not made by doctors anymore, they're made by MBAs. And these are people that are trying to lower their cost and make the system more efficient. Which is why when now you go to the doctor, the first thing they do is turn on their computer screen and they start checking boxes. And they ask you questions and they don't look at you, they look at their computer screen because they've got 5 minutes to get you in, check their boxes, get you out. And when you show up with a large bunch of paper trying to get to the root cause, you're throwing off their schedule. And you're now an angry patient. And doctors can't understand that half of all patients refuse to take medication that is prescribed to them. Now, why is that happening? Well, frankly, because a lot of people just Google, it's like, I don't feel real good after taking this. They Google it, they find out they're having the side effects. They're not really doing the symptoms and they're not hitting the root cause. And as a result, they feel like they're wasting their time, money, and efforts. And they're experiencing harm from a drug that may not be actually curing what's ailing them. It's just treating symptoms. And most people are kind of waking up to that effect. And as a result, the system is breaking down and doctors are getting frustrated. They're burning out. Patients are burning out, they're leaving the system, and as a result, nobody's looking after you. And frankly, that is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because the system is not designed to make you healthy. And I will say this till the day I die, we have the best system in the planet for acute emergencies. If you've been shot, if you've been in an auto wreck, if you're having a heart attack, if your liver is failing, our system is fantastic at taking care of you. As far as you getting healthy, they suck. They suck pond water. They cannot and do not have the time and resources, or frankly the knowledge on how to get you healthy. That's not what the system is designed for. And if you look at it, the doctor as a place to go for acute things, not chronic problems, you're better than 90% of everybody else. Because frankly, look at what's going on in this country, and you look at the rate of obesity, diabetes, etc. And why? Because we're not healthy. Why aren't we healthy? Because crap diets, horrible lifestyle, no exercise, bad sleep. All these things kind of all work together, and we're way over medicated. I mean, I'm the poster child for that. I mean, back when I was in my 40s, I was on 10 medications every single day. I mean, it starts off because I'm metabolically unhealthy. I'm starting to feel like crap. So they start, pumping me up with testosterone because your testosterone level's low. Okay, that makes sense. So let's treat that symptom. Let's build that number back up, using an artificial chemical. Great. Gosh, I'm still not focused real well, probably because I'm eating a crap diet and getting horrible sleep. Oh, okay, well, let's give you legalized meth, Adderall, for ADHD. Oh, okay, that works for a while. Gosh, I can't sleep. Well, let's give you some sleep medication. Let's give you Ambien. And gosh, my sleep schedule's now all messed up and I'm getting depressed. Well, let's give you some antidepressant. And the list keeps going on and on and on. And then after a while, it's 10 medications. And, I'm a walking pharmacy. And then I go to my eye doc and she tells me the back of my eyes are all gooped up and she's going to have to start putting needles in the back of my eyes. And the only advice she gives me is, it's not that you're metabolically unhealthy. The problem is you just need to lose weight. That's what got me down the road to bariatric surgery. But what made me healthy eventually was discovering low carb way of eating with Dr. Stephen Phinney and really learning about metabolic health. And that began a long journey. And this is what I think most of us are going to have to figure out is, look, in this fight for your health, you are all alone. But we can all be alone in this together. I mean, this is a cool time that we live in. Now we've got AI, we have Google, we have lots of ways of discovering things that used to be shrouded in mystery. Back before the internet, when I was a kid, if you wanted to find out something about your health, the only thing that you could do is, if you could get access to it, was go to the library, and to a medical library at that, and it was all disguised in jargon that nobody could access. And now, we have YouTube, we have Google, we have lots of resources out there. And if you want to discover the root cause and you want to figure out how to get healthy, you're on your own. You're going to have to do it yourself. But thankfully we can do it together. There's a lot of people that have done, I've spent hours listening to lectures and reading lots of books and going through a lot of articles and trying to filter through a lot of this crap. I try to stay away from people that have this one miracle molecule will somehow save you or something like that. Really what it boils down to is the basic pillars of health. Trying to get a whole foods diet, get rid of the excess sugar, get rid of the vegetable seed oils, get rid of the ultra processed wheats and other stuff and seeds, and really stick to whole foods. And depending on how bad you are, you're going to have to really crank up your efforts. But the more you can get to that, where you start eating correctly. And when you start eating correctly, you're going to increase your energy level. And the energy level is going to lead to more activity, which will hopefully lead to you being able to do resistance exercise and walking and doing other stuff like that. And as you normalize that, you will slowly but surely develop a good sleep cycle. And all these things all work together. When you return to that level of health, you're going to realize, those chronic aches and pains, I don't have to take stuff for it anymore. Your blood pressure naturally goes down. It's really kind of cool and amazing and wonderful in and of itself if you are willing to invest the time. And if you're not, frankly, your doctor isn't going to save you. Big Pharma isn't going to save you. Your government's not going to save you. Nobody's going to save you. Nobody is coming to rescue you. You're it. You're the one who's got to figure this out, and you're the one who's going to start taking the action steps in order to redo your health. And we need it, man. When you look at this country, half the country is overweight and either type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic, which is basically the same thing. You're still getting all the problems associated with it. And if you don't know how to check for that, and it doesn't require a doctor's prescription, you can check to see if you are pre-type 2 diabetic right now. Just go over to your computer, go get a blood test, get a fasting insulin level and your blood glucose level, and then take those results, go to another site that will tell you, okay, what's my home or IR? You put that information in there, boom, and then I'll tell you if you're pre-type 2 diabetic that quickly. And if you are, then you really do need to go low carb. There's no other way around it. And it's delicious and it's relatively easy, but it does require you to spend about a week feeling a little bit bad to get over your addiction to added sugar and ultra processed foods. But once you do that, things are going to start improving. It's kind of a force of nature that I hope more people will do. because in this fight for our health, we are all alone. But we can all be alone in this together. And this is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. I try to put out a couple messages each week. If you like this message, please hit like, subscribe, join this channel of other like-minded folks. I will talk to you again soon.